Welcome to Aaron's Heart. My name is Darby. I'll be your bartender today. Today, as you can see from what we've got here on the bar, we're making mojitos. All right, so the mojito. I have my handy little slip of note card here that has a bunch of information on it because this is a really well traced cocktail. Not all of its history is perfectly well known, especially after about 1932-ish. There are some gaps in the story, but overall, especially its very, very early history, we can trace the mojito. So let me just be upfront real quick. I'm not a huge fan of mojitos, but I'm gonna make one because I was told to make one and try it with an open mind. So we're gonna make one and I'm gonna try it with an open mind. So anyway, let me go through my little note card right here about some of the history of mojito. And look, you can have note cards, right? That's not against the rules. Nobody said I couldn't have a note card. Anyway, so the history of the mojito can be traced back to the 16th century. All right, it's old, right? This is probably one of our oldest legitimately known cocktails. Now it was made with kind of the precursor to what we now know as white rum. It was from the island that we call Cuba now. Can be traced back as far as the 16th century. Captain Francis Drake, who was an English captain, he visited Havana in the year of 1586, according to my notes, and enjoyed the precursor to the mojito, the El Drake, right, or El Drake. Its first modern, quote-unquote, appearance was in 1932 in the book called Sloppy Joe's Bartender's Manual. I actually looked to see if I could find a copy of this book. I couldn't find a copy of it anywhere. I mostly want it just because I think it's a funny name. After that, there's a little bit of debate whether or not it ever made it directly to America in the form of what we now know as a mojito, or if it was still considered an El Drake or El Drake before then. But either way, after about 1932, it was popularized and known as a mojito as we know it now. The slight variations, right? I mean, okay, so there's slight variations in the original recipe, but they all call for one thing specifically, and that is white Cuban rum, or a Cuban style white rum. Anyway, Bacardi, right, is I'm pretty sure even on Bacardi's website, they claim to have the mojito recipe, but this is the one that everybody pretty much goes by, right? I don't like it, okay? I don't like using Bacardi because I think Bacardi is boring. It's not boring, it's a fine rum, but I think that it doesn't add anything to this. So I kind of X'd that one out. Funny enough, this Cruisin' aged light rum, origin of St. Croix, is a very, very similar light rum. It does have a little age on it, as you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to tell really well in my light here, but it has a little bit of barrel aged color because it is aged a little bit. This is what I would normally use, but yesterday, well, my yesterday as to when I'm filming this versus when you're probably actually seeing it, but yesterday I got a chance to go and actually meet the distillers and go on the tour at Timber Creek Distilleries here in Florida. So they had this handcrafted Florida clear, it's a clear white or clear light rum, whatever you want to call it. It is an agricole style rum, so it does have a little bit of flavor in it. There's some other things going on in there that I think are really, really interesting. And this is what we're gonna use because these guys are really, really cool. I got to meet the owners, stuff like that. You know, we got to hang out for a while. I tasted literally everything they had, and I don't have the words to say how awesome it was to get that experience. So anyway, we're gonna be using some Timber Creek today. Be prepared to see quite a bit more of the Timber Creek distillery. They're local here in Florida and it's really cool, and I really wanted to be able to use some of their things, so that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, for the mojito, we're gonna need a few things, right? As you can see, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the counter here in front of me. You're gonna need mint, right? You don't need a whole bunch of it. My mint looks a little wilty and sad, but it's okay, it'll perk right up. We're gonna crush it anyway, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna need limes. I'm actually going to use fresh limes for this, all right? I have my little juicer, I have a bunch of fresh limes. You're gonna need some fresh limes for this. You're gonna need simple syrup. This is my 1-to-1 ratio, sugar and water. You're gonna need your rum of choice, and you're going to need some club soda. Now, this is not a need. This is really one of those things, if you wanna top it off with club soda, it gives a little bit of bubble, kind of makes it fun. So I like doing it that way. If I'm gonna drink a mojito, that's the way I'm gonna do it. Then you're gonna need a shaker. Let's get to making this thing. Super, super simple, okay? Let's go ahead and get one of these poor wilty sprigs of mint. We're gonna get a whole bunch. The recipes, technically, according to Bacardi's website and according to liquor.com, which I kind of just wanted to use both to cross-reference, they say 3 to 5, right? 3 to 5 mint leaves. That to me just is not enough. I want a little bit more mint flavor. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, kind of a little palm full right here. That guy's trying to get away. I'm gonna give that just a little smack. You don't need to smash your hands together or anything. Just a little bit, a little smack, and you're good to go. And we're gonna have to use this one because my other one is dirty. A 1/2 ounce of our simple syrup goes right in there. All right, now get your muddler, whatever you choose to use, whether it be just a piece of wood that you've cleaned and cured, whether it be one of these. This is kind of cool. It's got little aggressive little teeth on it. You can. But here's what I'm gonna do before we get into muddling that. I really, really like the addition of some lime oils, right? So like some fresh lime oils goes really, really well, and we can use this lime later on. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slice 1/2 of a lime, you know, so you got 3 decent little wedges, and we're gonna put these peel side down into our tin, okay? I don't need all 3 of them. That 2 of them will be fine. Give it a quick muddle. You don't need to be real abusive. You don't need to really get in there and grind things up. Just get in there, you know. This is the labor intensive part of a mojito, right? Is you do have to muddle. It slows you down a little bit, but kind of just crush everything up, get everything mixed together. Now, we're done with that, right? That's it. That was all my muddle. We're gonna get 2 ounces of our rum of choice. I'm using my Timber Creek. Like I said, it's an agricole style rum, so it's not quite exactly correct, but I love the flavor that it gives, and I really like it. Has such a beautiful smell that you really can't really beat it. So let's go ahead and cut a couple of these bad boys open, and we'll kind of see where we're at with 2 of them. So you can use a hand juicer, you could use a power juicer. Really, you don't need fresh for this, but it does seem like that's the way to go. Everywhere I've looked, everything I've done, and as many times as I've made these, seems like fresh is always better. So I've got one of these cool little juicers where you can juice and it just drains right down to the bottom. They're kind of a pain to use, but it also works really, really well. So we're just gonna try and extract about 3/4 of an ounce of juice. These are not the juiciest of limes, but that's okay. That one was. Good Lord, all the juice from the last two. All right. Let's see where we're at. We need a little bit more. We'll probably go ahead and just juice this last one out anyway. It can't hurt to have a little extra, so no big deal. Now, so if you're doing things with fresh juices, right, it's a really good idea, especially if you're going to use a peel from what you have juiced, right? So if, say you wanted a twist of lime to put on the top of this, or I saved a little wedge, right? Did that for a reason, because I wanted a garnish, right? If you're going to garnish, it's really difficult to peel something when it's like that, right? Really not easy, not fun to try and do. So do yourself a favor. If you're going to be using a twist of lime, a twist of lemon, are you gonna untwist? There you go. Go ahead and do that first. Get your peel, pull your peel first. That way you don't run into problems later on, all right? Now we'll go ahead and hit this with 3/4. Oh man, I even have a little left over. That way if we want to add a little extra, we add a little extra. Cool, that's it. Let's add some ice. My ice is cracking good, but it's not cracking into my shaker. All right. Give this a quick shake. Again, you've already muddled, so a lot of your flavors have already released. So quick shake, mostly just to go ahead and dilute this down a little bit and chill it out. Quick 5 to 10, wow, that's really cold though. 5 to 10 seconds is all you really need for this. Now, very important, double strain, okay? For obvious reasons, right? We've got a bunch of little loose leaves and stuff that float around down on the bottom of that thing. We want to keep all that out of our drink. Now some people do free pour these right in. That to me is not the way to do this, right? I don't want little bits of mint leaf. I don't want little bits of, especially with fresh lime juice, I don't want little bits of fresh lime floating around in it. That's one, presentation wise, looks gross. And two, it's weird. Like, I don't want to swallow that. That's gross. All right, now, again, very important, especially if you strain it off. Fresh ice. I'm using just cubed ice, nothing special, nothing fancy, right? And you want your glass, you want to leave a little room in the very top of your glass. We're probably gonna leave about that much if I can't get the rest of this out of here. Good enough. Actually, that's about perfect. You want to leave room for about 3 to 4 ounces of your club soda, right? Because you want a good little bit of bubble on top. Give it a quick pour. If you have the ability to make your own club soda, I would totally do that. That's way better than store-bought, way better. Like, there's not even a comparison. Let's get a decent, halfway decent looking sprig of mint here. I don't really care for any of these, but we're gonna go with these two guys right here. We'll just break that off. Here's another little trick, right? Normally if your mint is a little bit fluffier, which I should have just soaked this with some water first, but take your mint, just give it a quick little slap against your hand. That releases a lot of the oils that are in it, makes it a lot more fragrant. Take your wedge of lime or wheel of lime, whatever you've got, stick it right in there next to it. You can even use it to kind of prop up my lackluster looking mint. But hey, at least today I've got garnishes, so. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, a mojito. So let's go ahead and give this guy a try. And me as not a typical mojito fan, see, that's totally different. That changes the game on mojitos right there. Using a good rum, right? A good high quality rum. The freshness of the lime juice, I think, does affect this. The mint, using a little bit more mint definitely comes through a little bit stronger, and it has just enough sweetness to not be overly tart, but it's absolutely, oh yeah, that's phenomenal. It's fresh, it's bold, it's very, very bold. And I think this Timber Creek definitely adds a little something to it. It definitely, because it does have some of its own very unique flavor profiles in there. And this is a bit of a labor intensive cocktail, right? With having to muddle, but the final effect, and then topping it with that club soda or soda water, whatever you're using, really does add a little bit of bubble in your mouth, and it kind of just expands, and it's glorious. This is really, really delicious. It's kind of, in a way, right, it's similar to a Dark and Stormy because it uses a lot of the same things, except we're taking out our ginger beer and replacing that with club soda. So the spiciness from the ginger beer is gone, and we're, instead of using very dark, like Gosling's, I don't even know if I have any left. I think I do, up there somewhere. Gosling's Dark Seal Rum, which is very, very dark and almost syrupy. You're using a very light, very bright rum that really, I can see why this is so appealing. If you're sitting out, you know, on a beach somewhere, this would absolutely be a king of cocktails. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, try to get some better looking mint than I did, but give the Mojito a try. And if you're like me and you're not a fan, that will make you a believer. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much. Remember, please do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, subscribe. It helps me keep growing. It helps the channel for YouTube to realize, hey, like, he's still here, he's still doing things. And it really does actually help. And I see every single one of you leave comments. That does help too. So if you want to say, hey, try this drink out, I'll definitely try it and make it, and maybe we'll even make it here live. Anyway, thank you all so very much. Remember, don't drink and drive, drink responsibly, tip your bartenders, support local distilleries. If you guys have a local distillery in your area, go out and try some of their stuff. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but you'll never know until you try. Anyway, thank you guys so much. If you want to support me outside of YouTube, I'll have links down below in the description, as well as the recipe for this cocktail in the description. And we will see you guys in the next video. Until then, cheers.